Hello and welcome back to my allotment on this incredibly cold and frosty day in January. It's been bitter overnight. I think it went down to about -4, maybe even -5, and it's about 2 o'clock in the afternoon and my plot has not thawed whatsoever. The ground is completely frozen, and I'll show you some close-ups in a moment. But today there's not a lot that I could be doing, but one thing I want to get done is to cut back those trees behind my shed to reduce it much lower, so I get much more light into that back corner of the wildlife area on the allotment. I don't know how much I'm going to get done today. It's just so cold. I'm not going to have a cup of tea to start off with. I want to crack on, but we will have a tea break in a little bit. But yeah, I've been meaning to do it and I just want to get it done now. That hedge behind my shed is going to be such a better view towards the city. Maybe not today because it's so foggy and you can't see a thing. So that's basically my plan today. I just thought I'd do a bit more of a vlog style episode since I have a lot more time on my hands at the moment, and with lockdown and everything else, you might just want to see what I'm up to today. So yeah, it might not be that educational, but if you just want to see what I'm up to, then welcome. Wrap up warm, and yeah, we might stop for a minute in a tea break. But first, let's just have a little look around at the frost because it looks so beautiful today, and it's just definitely not going to thaw. I must remember actually to put some birds food out, because those little guys are going to be so hungry because the ground has barely thawed all week. So I must put some seed out for the birds and help them keep going. One day I will actually hand feed him. One day. Oh dear, I'm running low on seed. I'm going to put it all out because it's going to be cold again tonight. I've also got this dried mealworm. The robins particularly like this. I can see you waiting. Let's top it up for him. There you are. It looks like it's just snowed on my little bowl of bulbs that I topped with some moss. Those little shards of ice. It's amazing when you look up close at them. It's like a whole new little world. Here's my garlic looking completely frosted, but you know what, it doesn't mind. In fact, the garlic quite likes a nice hard frost, because that helps the single clove that we planted divide into a nice big bulb with lots of multiple cloves that we can use for cooking. So the garlic is quite enjoying this frost, to be honest. Over by my dahlia bed, the erigeron is looking completely frosted. Look how beautiful that is. But this won't faze it whatsoever. It's very, very hardy. And the wallflowers, they've got lots of spiky shards of frost all over them as well. They'll be absolutely fine. Just check in on the hellebores. And these winter flowers really don't mind a bit of frost. They're flopped over, but soon, once they defrost naturally, they'll pick up their strength again. And it's fully open now, look. That is an absolutely stunning colour. I don't think I remember the variety. I need to find the label. I stored it in the shed. So sorry, I don't know the name of it just yet. Right, well, before I actually cut back these trees, I've got a bit of tidying up to do. I've got a corner of shame, and I'm sure we all have one. But mine's behind the shed, and I've got a lot of pots and clutter down there to tidy up first. So that's the first job, tidy up so I can have some access, and then I'll cut these back. So let's try and get this done as quick as we can. There we are, that's looking much clearer now. behind there, so I've got much better access to get to those trees. But it does, however, mean I've got quite a bit to sort and tidy. But it's a good chance to get on top of these kind of jobs whilst it's the middle of winter. There's not too much else to do. You can work on your fences, your hedging and your storage, any structures that you want to build. So it's going to be a good time to have a good tidy up once I finished these hedges. So let's move on to what sort of tools I'll be using, and time to tackle the hedge. All of the tools that I'll be using are actually just hand tools. I don't actually have any power tools like hedge trimmers here on the allotment, so it'll all be done by hand. And one of the tools that I'll be using are these hedge shears. These will only be used for the really soft material, perhaps like these ivy stems that aren't too woody and thick. For the thicker, woodier stems, such as the brambles, I'll be using a pair of loppers to cut right through them. These will also cut through any other thicker branches from the hawthorn trees that won't require a saw. And the other tool that I'll be using is my rather long and very sharp Zubat Silky Saw. It has a bit of a safety lock, so it can be tough to get out, but it's incredibly sharp, and this is what I'll be using to cut down the much thicker branches of the tree and cutting it right back to the level that I want. And also a ladder, because, well, I might need it. But I am on my own today. Obviously health and safety is quite important. We're working with some sharp tools, and we've got brambles. Hawthorn is, as the name suggests, quite thorny. I don't want the tree to topple towards me. It's not too big, but you know, my shed is right there. I don't want it to fall that way. So I do also have some rope that I might try and use to anchor it down, just to prevent it from topping the way that I don't want it to go. And also, ideally, I don't want it to fall over to the next plot. That's a bit of a 10-foot drop down there, and it's into like an orchard, public orchard. So we don't want it to be gone out of control. So yeah, we'll see how it goes. So first of all, I'm actually just going to get my shears. I'm just going to start by cutting back the ivy. It sends out quite thick stems with the berries on, which, yes, the birds absolutely love to eat. But I need to get a level to work towards at the minute. And the birds have got a lot more ivy to choose from all around the allotment. There's also so much in the way of hedging that I'm not worried about the loss of a few berries for my job today. So I'm just going to try and create a bit of an even side. And I'm going to switch to my loppers because the stems are quite thick, but I still need to get a lot more visibility of the trees. So I'm going to take quite a bit of the ivy back, especially further up. So time for the loppers. Oh, and this hawthorn is pretty lethal, but it makes amazing protection for the birds. So even though I'm cutting it all the way back, it will still regrow. But I'm going to much prefer a shorter hawthorn hedge as opposed to a few quite tall trees. It's stuck on some of the I think that's Clematis. It's the old man's beard. It's the one that's native to the UK, so it grows through our hedges, and I'm stuck on some bramble already. Must be careful not to cut through the microphone cable. I should probably tuck that away a little bit. Winter is the absolute best time to be doing this sort of jobs because there are no birds nesting in the hedges, and of course I still check to make sure that there were no birds in the hedge at the time of doing this, but you know, you want to get all your hedges trimmed before the birds start nesting. I definitely don't want to remove too much of the ivy too low down because that's definitely where the robins love to nest. You'll find that robins tend to nest quite low down. They don't really nest above probably about 3 feet in height. So this low ivy hedge is going to be absolutely perfect for the robins. So I'm just going to make sure I don't remove too much of the foliage further down. Well, I'm going to be quite busy here for a little while, so I'm going to set you up, get comfy, and speed this up and see how much we can get done in however much time we have left. My allotment is very unusual in that it has these hedged walls around my plot. That's not common for most allotment sites, and as much as I love it because I get my privacy, the downside is the maintenance, and you do need to keep them regularly in check, otherwise they get overgrown like this and then become a bit more of a problem. As part of our tenancy agreement for renting our allotments, it's our own responsibility to look after and maintain our hedges, unless it happens to be on one of the main entrance roadsides, when you should be able to get some help from the management team. Well, as you can see, I've already had a really good go at it, and you can see the level that I've created that I want to continue further down that end, and it's already really opened it up, that gorgeous view that I'm going to have. A few troubles that I have noticed though is that these trees here, there's at least 3 trunks that are a lot thicker than I anticipated. I know my saw probably can go through them, but in all honesty it's a bit of a chainsaw job. It'd be so much easier with a chainsaw, so I might put a message out to our allotment site and just see if there's anybody who's willing to help me on that one, because they'll just come down so much easier. I honestly didn't have to worry about getting cold today because this has kept me warm. But yeah, I'll grab the camera and I'll show you over the hedge and the view, and a little look at the original red brick building down below. So here's the progress that I've made. It's probably going to get dark within the next half hour to an hour, and the lighting conditions won't be so good, so I'm going to stop work soon. But as you can see, I've really exposed that tree trunk now, and it's quite thick. It's actually like 2 trunks that have now formed together, so it's a bit of a bigger job than I anticipated, and that one too. There we are, there's a better view. I'm actually in the hedge now. This is the orchard site below that kind of belongs to the allotment site management team, I believe. Can you imagine having that though? That'd be awesome if I could help run that, get some wildflowers in. You don't really see them that often, but there's a lovely little red brick building down here with a little chimney. That's about as far as I can reach. And further down behind the shed, I've cut back lots of that ivy to try and expose the stems of those tree trunks, but I think that'll do for today. So for now, I'm going to pack my tools away, come back tomorrow, fingers crossed we'll be able to finish the job, because I really don't like leaving jobs half finished. I don't know about you, but I'm that sort of person. It just really grates at me to know that something hasn't been done. So yeah, really want to get it done within the next few days, so really hope I can find somebody with a chainsaw. Well, it's a couple of days later and I've just had a visitor, somebody else who has an allotment and also a chainsaw. Thank you so much, Penny. She's just left now and she's taken down a couple of those trees that I was having difficulty with. They do need reducing a little bit more to get them in line, but it's looking so much better already. Take a look. Just look at how much more open it is now without those trees there, and there's just so much more sky already. But I do have these little stumps here that I need to take further down, but thank goodness for Penny. I mean, obviously we worked at a very safe distance, I wasn't that close to her at all. But yes, I'm sure she doesn't watch my videos, but I couldn't have done it without you, Penny, so thank you for your help. But yeah, these stumps now need to be cut back a little bit lower, and that tree at the end also I'll be able to use my saw on to get that one down. this is the last stump to reduce now, and once this is down it's pretty much complete. I mean, I'm surrounded by clippings. We're going to try and make as much use of those as we can. But yeah, I'm going to chop this one down and then we'll take a look at the view. I can't wait to see it. I haven't stepped back to have a look yet. So yeah, let's get this last one down. That's one. That'll go in the wildlife corner. I've been so lucky to have such good weather over these last few days. Okay, I think we've got about 2 or 3 centimetres to go. Hey! And we're done. I can't believe it. It's only taken, I haven't checked the time, but an hour and a half maybe today with the help of Penny and her chainsaw, for which I am so grateful. Oh, I've got so much tidying up to do, but I just want to have a look at the view, so I'm going to pick up a few things so we can really get the best view, and then step back, take a look at what we've done. Now then, as for all of the rubbish, there's quite a lot of it, and I like to reuse it as much as I can. Obviously I don't think the recycling centres are open at the minute to dump all that ivy, which I don't have as much use for, so I may use the incinerator for what I can't reuse, but things like this are great for adding to a wildlife corner, or just stacking up if you've got quite a few of them. And you can even drill lots of holes in them to make little bug hotels. You know, all of the insects are going to absolutely love this, including the birds. They'll have like little perches and places to hide. Even the voles, we get quite a few voles here, and the tiny little mice. And also, yeah, things like this, just stack them all up. And these are going to go into the wildlife corner around that back edge where I've got lots of logs. We've also got some quite thick branches, and these are great for using as stakes, and obviously they're completely natural, so they will rot over time, but unlike bamboo canes, they're much stronger, so you get more support, and I think they look nicer as well. They just really blend in, and they don't have that sort of jarring, bright look about them. Or you can also use this sort of thing to make structures, like my big teepee that I made for my squash supports. And if you've got any smaller canes, I've got quite a lot stacked up there, then they can be good for using as pea sticks for growing your peas and your beans up if you're going to make more natural trellises. And if you don't use it for any of that kind of thing, just stack it up in a big pile somewhere out the way, undisturbed, and you might get some hedgehogs overwintering there, hibernating over winter. But yeah, there's quite a lot of waste here. Anyway, it's time for the reveal. I've not stepped back to the top of the plot yet to see just how much of a difference this has made. Yeah, let's have a look. Let's remember how it looked before. So we had all of that ivy creeping at least 10, 11, 12 feet up into the hawthorn trees. And now this is how it looks. Nice neat edge. And look at that skyline view. We're looking over towards Nottingham City, although the main city centre is actually a bit further west over that direction. And I can't believe just how much sky there is. It's really opened up that view. I'm going to keep stepping back just to see what it's going to look like. Oh my gosh. It's going to make such a difference to the wildlife corner with lots more light coming in for all those plants. Wow, look at that. Can't believe it. And if I stand up right on top of the mound, here it is, that full view. Oh, it's amazing. I'm so happy. And soon that sycamore in the corner will be reduced as well with the help of the allotment team. Oh, that is so much better. Let's go have a closer look now. So the hedge is still about, let's have a look, about 3-4 foot high. And we've cut down all of those trees, but the hawthorn, it will still grow. That's not going to kill it off. Instead we'll get lots of little tiny shoots coming off, and then come autumn time we'll just keep this maintained now at this height, and keep cutting it back. And we'll still get lots of nesting birds, lots of robins especially. And at the minute I'm just going around and pulling any ivy bits that are going over to try and fill any gaps. And it's obviously still nice and thick down here. We've got lots of ivy berries that are feeding the birds, and the bramble will also grow through this, giving the birds more protection. And I'm going to keep the ivy bush there at the bottom because the birds absolutely love that. It helps keep them warm when they want to snuggle up on those cold winter nights. I will trim it a little bit once the berries have gone over and before the birds start nesting, just so it doesn't get too big. But yeah, it's just so much better. And let's have a look right over the hedge. That's just stunning. I've got a lot of tidying up to do next, but look what I found on this bramble. It's got buds on it and it's trying to flower, and it's the beginning of January. Another out of season strange happening. Yeah, I can't stop smiling and enjoying the view. There's some music playing on in the background. I think it's at a church choir singing. And yeah, it's just such a really good feeling right now because I've wanted to do this for so long. And you know, when you've got a big job in your mind, and it's just such a relief to get it done in just a couple of days as well. Thank you, Penny, so much. I'm really grateful for Penny's help. And yeah, now I've just got a big tidying up job with all of the clippings, and I think also I need to sort out some sort of storage behind my shed because that was a bit out of hand, wasn't it? I need to get some shelves made or something to store all the pots and the buckets and the canes, that kind of thing. But yeah, I'm just so happy it's all done. I hope the birds aren't going to be too annoyed with me. Like I said, there's still plenty of areas for nesting, cover, protection and food with the berries and the pollen as well that gives the bees lots of nectar. And I just can't wait to see how this develops in the spring as the ivy fills in some of those little gaps, and see what birds we might have nesting in here come springtime. It's really opened this back passage so that I can access the back of the shed much better, and around to the wildlife corner as well. So yeah, thank you very much for joining me today. I know it's been a bit of a laid back for you vlog this time. Yeah, thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.